The coffee cup hits the marble floor at exactly 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. It shatters in perfect silence, a sound so sharp it cuts through the penthouse like a knife. But Vincent Rossi doesn't flinch at the noise. He's heard worse. What stops his blood cold is the wince. The way Sophia's hand jerks back to her ribs, fingers trembling as she reaches for the broom. The way she bites her lip so hard it turns white. It's the bandage, barely visible beneath her pushed-up sleeve as she bends down, wrapped tight around her wrist, the fabric yellowed from days of wear and sweat. It sits there like a confession she never made, like a secret her body refuses to keep. Vincent stands in the doorway of the kitchen, watching. He's built an empire on reading people. 38 years of learning how to spot the lie in a smile, the truth in a pause, the weakness in the way someone holds their shoulders. He reads leverage. He reads fear. He reads the 1,000 tiny things humans do when they think nobody's watching. In his world, the smallest details are the difference between living and disappearing. And this detail, this bandage, is screaming so loud he can barely hear anything else. She doesn't know he's there yet. She's moving carefully, like her body hurts in places nobody else can see. The way she favors her left side. The way she keeps her right wrist close to her stomach. The way her breathing changes when she bends down too far. These are things only someone who's been hurt learns to do. Someone who knows how to hide it. Someone who's practiced. Vincent's jaw tightens. His hands form fists he doesn't remember making. The bandage means something. The wince means something. The way Sophia Mendez, the maid who's worked in his penthouse for 4 years without ever being truly noticed, is holding herself means something. And Vincent Rossi doesn't move forward until he understands what something means. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and really I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. He doesn't ask her about it. Not at this moment. That would be the mistake of a lesser man, the kind of man who moves without thinking. Vincent isn't that man. Instead, he files it away, a single data point in a larger picture that doesn't make sense yet. The way a detective might notice a single thread at a crime scene and just know, that pulling it will unravel everything. He watches her finish sweeping the broken ceramic into a dustpan. He notices how she pauses before throwing it away, like she's afraid of breaking something else. He notices how the bandage catches the morning light coming through the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook Manhattan's bleeding skyline. What happens next will change more than just her life. What starts with a simple observation, one man noticing what everyone else misses, will shake the Castellano family to its foundation. It will expose secrets that were meant to stay buried. It will force Vincent to confront a truth he's spent his entire life avoiding, that the system protecting him was also destroying someone under his own roof. Sophia finishes cleaning and leaves the kitchen without raising her eyes to where he stands. She doesn't see him watching. She doesn't know that the wince she tried so hard to hide has already been catalogued, analyzed, filed away in a mind that never forgets. That her trembling fingers have already triggered something unstoppable. Vincent pulls out his phone. One call. That's all it takes. The head of security answers on the first ring because he always does. I need something investigated, Vincent says quietly. And I need it done carefully. Nobody knows about this. Understood. The answer comes back in a single word, yes. That's how power works. That's how empires communicate. One word. One decision. One moment of seeing what nobody else bothers to look at. But Vincent doesn't know yet what is about to uncover. He doesn't know that his investigation will reveal a pattern so disturbing it will force him to make choices he never thought he'd face. He doesn't know that this bandage will lead him to discover that his own brother, his blood, has been committing acts so vile they'll make him question everything he believes about loyalty, family, and the kind of man he actually is. The coffee cup lies broken on the kitchen floor, already forgotten by everyone except one man who sees everything. One man whose empire is about to face its greatest test. One man who's about to discover that sometimes the person you need to protect isn't someone you've ever been trained to save. What Vincent discovers in the next 48 hours will demand a choice that will separate him from the man he thought he was, and force him to become someone capable of justice that the law never could deliver. The Maid's quarters sit on the 3rd floor of the penthouse, a space so small it makes a prison cell look generous. Sophia Mendez stands at the window of her room, watching the city breathe below her. Manhattan moves like it always does, people rushing, cars honking, lives colliding in the streets far below. None of them know she exists. None of them care. She's been invisible for so long that sometimes she forgets what it feels like to be seen. 4 years. That's how long she's worked in the Castellano household. 4 years of opening her eyes before dawn and closing them after midnight. 4 years of cleaning up after people who never learn her name, serving meals to faces that look through her instead of at her. In the world of ultra-wealthy Manhattan, domestic staff exist in a particular type of purgatory. You're necessary. You're required. You're absolutely essential to the functioning of someone else's perfect life. But you're also not quite real. You're the invisible architecture that holds everything up. Her mother used to say the same thing. Sophia, baby, we clean their houses because they can't see us. That's our power, we see everything, and they see nothing. Her mother worked as a house cleaner too, scrubbing tiles on her hands and knees, her fingers perpetually red and cracked from chemicals that smelled like hospitals. She'd sleep in the car sometimes between jobs because apartment rent ate up everything. She'd work 17-hour days so that Sophia could go to school, could maybe be something different than what she was born into. That was supposed to be the plan. That was supposed to be the trade. Sophia was going to be a nurse. 3 years ago, she had this figured out. She'd saved enough money from the Castellano job to finally afford the first semester at community college. Nursing program, 2 years to complete, then a real job, then independence, then freedom. She'd been so close she could taste it. She'd walked into the college building in Queens with her acceptance letter in her hand, feeling like maybe, just maybe, her life was about to transform into something that looked like an actual possibility. That was before Marco got taken away. Before the foster care system called and said her mother's health had deteriorated past the point of managing a household with a 13-year-old in it. Before the bills started coming. Before her mother's dialysis appointments started multiplying on the calendar. Before Sophia understood that freedom was a luxury item people like her didn't get to purchase. So she'd deferred. Then deferred again. Then the college stopped sending her acceptance letters and started sending her cancellation notices. Now the nursing degree sits unfinished. Now she works full-time for the Castellanos, earning $30,000 a year plus room and board in this small space that used to be a storage closet. The money goes where it's always gone, her mother's medical bills. Her brother's foster care fees. Her survival. Every semester she tells herself it's temporary. Every year that passes, she understands a little more that temporary life can last forever. The bedroom is exactly what you'd expect. White walls, a twin bed, a desk that doubles as both workspace and dining table. A single window that faces north toward Central Park. She can see the trees from here if she leans to the right. She does this sometimes, leans to the right, and pretends she's somewhere else. Somewhere people notice when you're hurt. Somewhere people ask questions when they see bruises. Somewhere you matter enough for someone to care. On the other side of the penthouse, the world is different. The Castellano residence occupies the entire top 3 floors of a building in Tribeca. Marble everywhere. Art on the walls that probably costs more than Sophia will make in a lifetime. Windows that open onto sky and money and the kind of view that makes you understand why some people believe they deserve to own everything. The main living space is 7,000 square feet of architectural perfection. Every room is decorated by people whose job is making rooms look perfect. Every surface chosen to communicate wealth and taste and power. Vincent Rossi inherited this space. He inherited the power that comes with it. He inherited the empire that pays for it, an empire built on generations of activity that polite people don't discuss. The Castellano family has money that moves through real estate and finance and import-export, and through other channels that don't appear on any official records. 3 generations of untouchable influence. 3 generations of men who learned that if you own enough things, you own enough people. If you own enough people, you own the system that's supposed to govern you. Vincent is the youngest generation of this ownership structure. 38 years old, educated at Princeton, speaks 5 languages, reads books about art and philosophy, and makes decisions that move millions of dollars in directions that benefit the family. He's smart. He's cultured. He's controlled. He's the kind of criminal that society invites to dinner parties because he knows which fork to use and can discuss European architecture with genuine knowledge. But even men who own systems have blind spots. Even men who read people for a living miss the signals when they're not looking for them. Even men who control everything have moments when they simply don't see what's happening in the spaces they supposedly own. Vincent has been distracted by business, acquisitions, consolidations, the endless movement of money and power that constitutes his daily life. He trusts his household to function. He pays for security. He believes his people know to report anything unusual. He believes the system he's paid for is working exactly as designed. What he hasn't noticed is that his brother Nicholas has been operating inside that system like an infection spreading through clean tissue. Nicholas is 34, handsome in the way spoiled men often are, beautiful on the surface but rotting underneath. He runs the family's hospitality ventures, which is a technical term that covers operations Vincent prefers not to understand too directly. Nicholas has always been reckless. Always wanted more than he should have. Always believed that being a Castellano meant that rules existed for other people. But Vincent hasn't noticed. Vincent is focused on the larger picture. The bigger money. The more important operations. He's missed what's happening in the spaces between official business. He's missed what's happening to the people who keep his household running. And now a bandage appears on a maid's wrist, and everything begins to change. It starts with attention. That's how these things always start. A man looks at a woman he's never actually looked at before, and something in him decides she matters. Not in a way that leads anywhere good. In a way that leads to corners and silence and the kind of power that doesn't need witnesses because power never does. Nicholas notices Sophia in late September. She's bringing breakfast to the morning meeting room: eggs, coffee, fresh fruit arranged on a plate with the kind of precision that speaks to years of practice making other people's lives comfortable. She sets the tray down and turns to leave, and that's when his eyes catch her. The way she moves. The careful efficiency of her body. The fact that she's learned how to be invisible so completely that noticing her makes him feel like he's discovered something secret. He smiles. She doesn't see it because she's trained herself not to look directly at the men she serves. She's learned that eye contact with someone like Nicholas creates implications she can't afford. So she leaves the room and returns to the kitchen, and Nicholas makes a decision the way men with his power always do. He decides that the fact of his wanting something is sufficient justification for taking it. The attention escalates with geometric precision. First it's lingering glances in hallways. The kind of looking that feels like touching. She feels it the way prey feels a predator's eyes across distance. Then it becomes accidental contact, a hand brushing her shoulder as he passes. A lean into her space when he's asking her something about the household. The kind of casual boundary crossing that seems small until you realize it's not small at all. It's a test. It's learning how much he can do before she says something. She doesn't say anything. She's learned not to say anything. Saying something means making a scene. Making a scene means being fired. Being fired means her brother doesn't get his care. Her mother doesn't get her medications. She's learned that survival sometimes means accepting the unacceptable. By October, Nicholas starts finding reasons to be where she's working. The wine cellar when she's restocking. The kitchen when she's preparing meals. The hallway outside her room at odd hours, asking for things that could wait until morning but don't. She realizes what's happening. She's experienced enough to know the pattern. A man deciding that the fact of his power means he gets to make decisions about her body. She starts taking different routes through the penthouse. She starts finishing her work faster so she can disappear into her room earlier. She stops wearing her hair down. She starts wearing larger shirts that hide the shape of her body. These are the moves of someone who understands that the only defense she has is making herself seem like less of a target. But Nicholas is past the point where these things matter. He's past the point of caring whether she's interested. The whole point is that she's not supposed to have a choice. The invitations start in November. That's what he calls them, invitations. Come up to my suite, he says. Phrased like a question but carrying the weight of a command. A man like Nicholas doesn't ask. He announces his intentions and expects them to be obeyed. When she says she's busy, when she gives him the careful, respectful refusals she's practiced, something changes in his expression. It's a small thing, barely visible. But it's the moment when patience ends and entitlement takes over. The nights get darker. The penthouse gets quieter. The spaces where she works suddenly feel smaller, like the walls are moving closer. She finds him waiting around corners. She finds him studying her when he thinks she's not aware. She finds him creating situations where she's alone and he's nearby, and the architecture of the penthouse means there's nowhere to go without passing directly by him. By the second week of November, she's made her decision. She's going to quit. She can't do this job anymore. The money isn't worth it. Nothing is worth this. She started looking for other work. She started researching how to fight for guardianship of Marco without the salary she has right now. She started imagining what it would be like to be anywhere else, doing anything else, as long as it's away from here. But before she can leave, the moment comes that changes everything. The wine cellar at 8:15 on a Tuesday evening. She's restocking bottles, a task that requires her to be alone, below ground level, in a space where nobody above can hear what happens. She's bent down, reaching for the lowest shelf, her focus completely on the bottles in her hands. That's when she hears him come down the stairs. Nicholas. She knows his footsteps. She knows the way he walks, like he owns whatever space he's entering. Because in his mind, he does. Sophia. He says her name like it's a complete sentence. Like it's an announcement and a threat and a promise all at once. She straightens. Her heart is in her throat. Mr. Castellano. I'm almost finished. I don't care about the wine. He steps closer. The cellar is cold and humid, insulated from the world above. There are no windows down here. No witnesses. No sound that travels up through the floors. I want to talk to you about something. She knows what he wants to talk about. She's been preparing for this moment in her head for weeks. She's rehearsed what she'll say. She's planned the words that might make him understand that she's not interested, that she wants to be left alone, that she's not going to be what is decided she should be. I need to finish my work, she says. Her voice is steady but small. The kind of small that comes from practice hiding yourself from people with power over you. He reaches out. His hand goes to her wrist, her right wrist, the one she's already injured, and his fingers close around it like a cage. Not rough yet. But definitely. A demonstration of something he wants her to understand. I think you'll make time, he says. And then she pulls away. That's the moment that matters. That's the moment she decides that being fired is better than this. That's the moment she says no in a way that can't be misinterpreted or argued with or negotiated around. She pulls, and he pulls back, and his grip tightens, and then he twists. The pain is bright and immediate. It shoots from her wrist up her arm like electricity. Her hand goes numb and her vision spots, and she makes a sound, not even quite a scream, but something less than that. Something broken. And through the pain, she understands something about power. It doesn't need to ask permission. It doesn't need to explain itself. It just takes what it wants and walks away. He releases her. His expression doesn't change. It's almost worse than if he was angry. The casualness of it. The way he hurt her like he was swatting away an insect that annoyed him. Remember who you work for, he says. Then he walks back up the stairs, leaving her alone in the cold cellar, her wrist already swelling, her future collapsing around her like a building coming down. She wraps it tight at 3 a.m. in the privacy of her small room, using medical tape she finds in the bathroom. The swelling is significant. The bruising is already deep purple and angry. She knows what this means. She knows she can't go to a hospital. She knows reporting Nicholas means reporting the Castellanos, and reporting the Castellanos means something far worse than being unemployed. It means disappearing. So she decides to hide it. She decides to endure. She decides to exist in silence, hoping that 3 more weeks will give her time to find other work, other options, other ways out of the situation she's trapped in. She decides that the only way to survive is to keep the injury secret and continue functioning as though her wrist hasn't been deliberately, methodically broken by a man with nothing to fear. What she doesn't know is that someone has already noticed. Someone has already filed away the image of her wince. Someone has already made the decision that answers must be found. Someone has already set in motion an investigation that will reveal patterns Nicholas was sure would stay hidden forever. In 48 hours, everything she thinks she knows about her situation is going to fundamentally transform. Vincent picks up his phone at 9:52 a.m. on Wednesday. The time matters. The precision matters. Everything about how power operates happens in specific increments. He calls the head of security, a man named Marcus who's worked for the Castellano family for 15 years and owes them everything, including his silence. "I need something investigated," Vincent says. His voice is calm. Controlled. The kind of calm that comes from someone who's learned that volume has nothing to do with power. Discreet. Nobody knows. Not family. Not the household staff. Just you and whoever you absolutely need. Marcus understands without needing more information. In this world, understanding quickly is part of the job description. "What are we looking for?" Sophia Mendez. "The maid. I want to know about her injuries. How she got them. Who gave them to her. I want everything. Video. Incident reports. Anything that might be relevant." The pause on the line is brief, but it's there. Marcus understands what the question means. He understands that Vincent is asking about something that happened inside this building. Something that happened to someone under Castellano protection. Something that suggests a problem that needs solving. "I'll start immediately," Marcus says. The investigation takes 48 hours. 48 hours of Marcus moving through the penthouse carefully, accessing security footage that shows every hallway, every room with a camera. 48 hours of him interviewing staff quietly, asking questions that don't reveal what he's really asking about. 48 hours of him building a file that tells a story nobody wanted to be told. The video footage is the first piece. It's dated 3 weeks earlier. Sophia alone in the wine cellar, and then Nicholas coming down the stairs. The camera angle is limited, it doesn't capture everything, but it captures enough. It captures her reaching for him, her body tense with discomfort. It captures his hand closing around her wrist. It captures her face when he twists. It captures the moment she goes silent, and then he walks away like nothing happened. But that's not the only footage. Marcus digs deeper. He accesses records going back 2 years. He starts to see a pattern that makes his stomach turn. There's Sarah Chen, who worked as a housekeeper until 14 months ago. Video of her in a hallway, Nicholas touching her in ways she clearly doesn't want. Files showing her resignation submitted 1 week later. No explanation. Just gone. Then there's Diana Jackson, who worked as a bartender at one of the family's clubs. Footage of her backing away from Nicholas multiple times. Text messages Marcus finds in old phone records, communications that are casual on the surface but carry weight underneath. Diana quit 9 months ago. She never explained why. She just stopped showing up. Then there's a server named Keisha Martinez who lasted 3 weeks before she disappeared from the roster. No resignation letter. No phone call. Just gone. Marcus finds rumors in chat logs that she threatened to report something. That she went to HR. That the whole thing got handled quietly by someone in the organization. By the time Marcus compiles the file, he's discovered at least 5 incidents documented in various ways. Not 5 incidents that happened once. 5 incidents that represent a pattern. 5 instances where Nicholas Castellano used his position and his power to push boundaries with women who worked for the family. 5 instances where the women involved either quit suddenly or disappeared from the employment records. He hands the file to Vincent on Friday morning at 8 a.m. Vincent reads through it in his office, door locked, alone. He reads through the video transcripts. He reads through the dates and times and names. He reads through the details of incidents that were documented but never reported because reporting them would have meant reporting the Castellanos themselves. His hands start to shake. It's a small thing, barely noticeable. But inside him, something is breaking. Something he's built his entire world around is cracking open to show the rot underneath. There's more, Marcus says quietly. He's still standing by the door, waiting. The most recent incident was 3 weeks ago. The victim is still working here. Sophia Mendez. She's hiding an injury. Medical tape on her wrist. She's been limping slightly for the past 2 weeks. Whatever happened to her was more severe than the previous incidents. Vincent doesn't respond. He's looking at the file. He's looking at Sophia's face in the video footage, her expression when Nicholas's hand closes around her wrist. He's looking at the moment when her body goes rigid with pain. He's looking at a woman he's employed for 4 years and never actually seen, and his understanding that his blindness has consequences. That his focus on the bigger picture has allowed something poisonous to grow inside his own house. "Thank you," he finally says. "I need you to do something else. I need you to continue monitoring but tell nobody. Not security. Not anyone else in the family. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." When Marcus leaves, Vincent sits alone in his office with the file. The sun is coming up over Manhattan, the same sun that's coming up on a Friday morning like any other Friday morning. The city is moving below him. People are living their lives. Money is flowing through channels both legitimate and criminal. The world is turning exactly as it always does. But nothing is the same. Everything has shifted. Vincent now knows that his brother has been operating like a predator inside his organization. His brother has been committing acts that are serious enough to force decisions he never thought he'd face. His brother, his blood, has made it impossible for Vincent to look away. The question Vincent asks himself is the one he'll have to keep asking for the rest of his life. What kind of man does nothing when he knows the truth? Vincent stands in his office as the sun climbs higher. The light changes across the marble floors, shadows shifting like time is visible, like every minute can be measured by the movement of gold across stone. He's finished reading the file, but he hasn't stopped reading it. He keeps returning to certain parts. The footage timestamps. The incident reports. The details that confirm what he now understands about his family. The Castellano dynasty is built on power. Generation after generation, the men in his family have learned that power is currency. Power is the only real asset that matters. Money is just the physical representation of power. Buildings are just monuments to power. Organizations are just the machinery through which power operates. And the people who run those organizations? They're the ones who've learned that having power means getting to decide who deserves it and who doesn't. Vincent's grandfather founded this empire in the 1960s. He was a man who understood early that the system wasn't designed to serve people like him. He understood that if you wanted to control your destiny, you had to operate outside the system. He understood that the only law that mattered was the law of power. He built an organization that moved money through channels the government couldn't track. He established connections with people in places where legitimacy didn't matter. He created a structure that would protect his family for generations. Vincent's father inherited this structure and expanded it. He brought it into the modern era. He learned to move money digitally. He established legitimate businesses as covers for operations that were anything but legitimate. He took the empire his father built and transformed it into something that looked less like organized crime and more like just regular business. He was better at hiding it. Better at making it seem acceptable. Vincent inherited this entire apparatus. At 18, he was brought into the family business. At 25, he was running operations. At 38, he controls an empire that moves millions of dollars through channels that would shock most people if they ever discovered them. His ordered violence. His corrupted institutions. He's made decisions that harmed innocent people because the decision made financial sense or political sense or helped maintain the structure. By any reasonable measure, Vincent Rossi is a monster. He's exactly the kind of criminal that should be prosecuted, imprisoned, or worse. He operates outside the law because he owns the people who are supposed to enforce it. He moves money through channels designed to exploit ordinary people. He's part of a system that destroys lives for profit. But Vincent has a code. That's what he tells himself, anyway. That's what separates him from the truly monstrous. His code says, no women. No children. No unnecessary violence. No hurting innocent people for sport. His code says that the violence has to have purpose. The exploitation has to be directed at systems that deserve it, not at individuals who are already powerless. His code is supposed to make him different from simple thugs. His code is supposed to be proof that he's not the kind of man his grandfather was. His code is supposed to justify everything he does by claiming that at least he's not as bad as he could be. Looking at the file, Vincent understands that his code doesn't mean anything. His code is just a story he tells himself to sleep better at night. His code hasn't stopped his brother from being a predator. His code hasn't protected the women working in his organization. His code hasn't prevented Nicholas from operating inside the empire like an infection spreading through clean tissue. There's a distinction between types of evil. Vincent understands this now with a clarity that terrifies him. There's the evil that operates with rules. There's evil that has logic. There's the evil that can be understood if you understand power structures and money flow and how systems get corrupted. That's one type of evil. It's the type Vincent represents. It's the type he can explain and rationalize and defend if he has to. And then there's the evil that operates without rules. The evil that doesn't care about justification or logic or anything beyond immediate gratification. The evil that looks at a woman and decides that power means he gets to take what he wants. That's a different type of evil. That's the type that makes Vincent's stomach turn because he understands that his brother is operating from a place he can't protect himself from admitting he's afraid of. Nicholas doesn't believe in code. Nicholas believes in appetite. Nicholas sees power as a tool for personal pleasure, not as a structure that needs to be managed and maintained. Nicholas is the kind of man that makes Vincent understand why legitimate society fears people like the Castellanos. Because somewhere inside the Castellano family, code died. Somewhere inside the Castellano family, some threshold got crossed and what emerged was just pure predation without any attempt at justification. Vincent sits in his office and makes a decision. It's a simple decision. It's a decision that will force him to do something he's never done before. It's a decision that will require him to use his power in a way that breaks every rule he's established about what his power is supposed to protect. He's going to destroy his brother. Not by turning him over to the police. Not by letting legitimate systems handle it. Those systems won't do anything. Those systems are designed to protect people like the Castellanos. He's going to destroy Nicholas by using the same power structures that have protected the family for generations, but he's going to turn those structures against his own blood. He's going to dismantle Nicholas's holdings. He's going to dissolve his partnerships. He's going to freeze his assets. He's going to orchestrate his complete removal from the organization and from society. He's going to do it so thoroughly and so completely that Nicholas will understand that power can be taken away just as easily as it was given. That protection isn't permanent. That family means nothing when you operate outside the code. But first, he needs to understand the full scope of what's happened. He needs to see all the victims. He needs to make sure that every woman who's been hurt gets some form of restitution that the system never would have provided. He needs to make sure that Sophia Mendez understands that her injury was noticed. That her silence didn't go unheard. That someone with power chose to acknowledge her suffering and act on it. The morning light continues moving across his office floor. The city continues moving below him. The empire continues operating exactly as designed. But Vincent Rossi is making the transformation from the man he was into the man he's becoming. And he doesn't know yet that this decision will cost him more than he imagines. That this choice will open questions about power and justice and responsibility that he's spent his entire life avoiding. But he's about to find out. Sophia's wrist throbs as she yanks the duffel bag from under her bed. 3 weeks of hiding it. 3 weeks of wrapping it tight, covering it with long sleeves, pretending her body doesn't scream every time she lifts anything heavier than a coffee cup. She can't stay here anymore. She won't. The decision crystallizes as she shoves clothes into the bag, folding them quickly, efficiently, like she's practiced this escape 1,000 times in her head. The room is silent except for the sound of fabric moving. 11 p.m. on a Friday. The penthouse is asleep above her, below her, around her. All those rooms filled with wealth and power and men who take what they want without asking. She's done being invisible in this place. She's done being available. She's done pretending that her silence equals safety. Her phone buzzes on the bed. Foster care agency notification. Marco is asking about you again. His behavioral sessions are improving, but regression moments indicate instability. Stability crucial for development. The words are different now. Marco is 13. He's already survived enough. He needs her to be solid. He needs her to have her life together so he can believe that escape is possible. She pulls the phone closer. $480 in her checking account. Rent for 1 month or Marco's anxiety medications. Half her mother's dialysis copayment or food for 2 weeks. Never all 3. Never enough. Her hands start shaking. The kind that comes from understanding you're about to jump off a cliff and hoping the ground below is actual ground and not just more air. Leaving means homelessness if she can't find work fast. Leaving means her brother stays in foster care longer. Leaving means her mother's medical bills don't get paid. Leaving means choosing between terrible options and hoping one of them leads somewhere that isn't worse. She sits on the bed. The duffel bag sits next to her, half-packed, waiting. She starts crying, the kind that's just resignation. The kind that happens when you understand you're trapped inside a trap. She's been working toward escape for 4 years and somehow she's still here. Somehow Nicholas is still here. Somehow the system keeps grinding forward, eating people like her for breakfast. A knock on her door at 11:47 p.m. stops her crying cold. Her entire body goes rigid. She knows Nicholas's footsteps. Knows the way he moves like he owns the spaces he walks through. This knock is different. Heavier. More authoritative. She opens the door to find Marcus standing there, the head of security, a man she's barely spoken to in 4 years. His expression is neutral, but there's something in his eyes. Something like he's carrying information that changes everything. Ms. Mendez. I need you to come with me. Now. His voice is professional. His body language is unthreatening. But there's an intensity that makes it clear this isn't optional. Where? She asks. Her voice is smaller than she wants it to be. Mr. Castellano's office. Top floor. Don't ask questions, just come. Marcus is already walking away, expecting her to follow. She glances at her half-packed duffel bag, at her life in the process of being dismantled, and makes a choice. She follows him. The elevator rises through the penthouse. 47 floors of marble and wealth and power compressing the air around her. She notices her reflection in the polished steel doors, a girl in a maid's uniform with fear written across her face in a language everybody reads. By the time the doors open, she's made peace with whatever comes next. She's already leaving anyway. What's one more blow before she goes? Vincent Rossi sits behind walnuts that cost more than most people's annual salary. The desk is clean. Organized. No photographs, no personal items, no evidence that a human being actually works here. Just a lamp, a phone, a computer. This is a space designed to intimidate. It works. He looks up when Sophia enters. She stands in the doorway, suspended between 2 states of existence. Marcus closes the door behind her, staying inside the office. A witness. A reminder that this conversation is being documented whether she knows it or not. Sit, Vincent says. Not a question. Sophia sits in the chair across from his desk, her injured wrist landing in her lap like evidence. She's hyper-aware of it. She feels like the bandage is visible despite being hidden beneath her sleeve. She feels like her whole body is confessing things her mouth hasn't said yet. I know about the wine cellar, Vincent says. His voice is calm. No aggression. No threat. But there's something underneath it. Something that suggests he knows things and has decided what to do about them. I know what Nicholas did. I know you've been hiding it for 3 weeks. I also know he's done this before. 5 times. 5 women. 5 times my organization failed to protect people under my roof. Sophia doesn't speak. I can't speak. Her throat has closed completely. Her mind is spinning through implications. He knows. The man who controls everything knows. And instead of firing her, he's brought her to his office to say it out loud. Nicholas Castellano is no longer employed by this family, Vincent continues. He stands. Walk to the window overlooking Manhattan at night. The city sprawls below him like something he owns, which in many ways he does. Effective immediately, his assets are frozen. His partnerships dissolved. His access to every resource connected to this organization is terminated. By tomorrow morning, every person he knows will have received notification that he no longer exists in our world. He turns to face her. He'll try to fight this. He'll call attorneys. He'll scream about fairness and family loyalty. Nobody will answer. His credit cards will decline. His apartment lease will be terminated. His name will be erased from every document that once said he belonged somewhere. He's going to wake up in a world where he's nobody. Sophia tries to process what she's hearing. This isn't punishment. This is annihilation. This is what happens when power gets turned inward instead of outward. This is what one man can do to another man when that first man controls the systems that dictate reality. Why, she asks. It comes out as barely a whisper. Because at some point you have to choose what kind of man you're going to be, Vincent says. He's sitting again, studying her like she's a problem he's trying to solve. I've spent my entire life being a certain kind of man. A man who operates outside the law. A man who uses power for personal benefit. A man who understands that systems are broken and therefore breaking them deliberately is just being honest. He pauses. His jaw tightens. But seeing what happened to you. Seeing that my blindness allowed someone under my protection to be hurt. That forced me to understand something I'd been avoiding. Having power and choosing not to use it to protect people is its own choice. It's a choice to be complicit. I chose differently this time. I don't understand, Sophia says. But she's starting to. She's starting to see the machinery beneath his words. You will, Vincent says. I've established a settlement. $50,000. It's in an account in your name. It's not payment for your suffering. It's not compensation for what happened. It's restitution because the law you're supposed to be protected by would never provide it. Use it however you need to. Finish your degree. Bring your brother home. Build whatever life you want to build. The number hits her like a physical force. $50,000. That's freedom. That's escape from a trap she thought was permanent. That's every door that's been locked suddenly opening simultaneously. I can't, she starts. Yes, you can, Vincent interrupts. And you will. Because accepting it means you understand that your suffering has value. That your silence mattered. That even in a world built on power and corruption, someone chose to acknowledge your pain and act on it. He stands. The meeting is over. You can stay employed here if you want. Or you can leave. That choice is completely yours. But understand this, Nicholas Castellano will never work here again. He will never have access to this building again. And anyone who works with him in the future will understand that they've chosen to align themselves with someone the Castellano family has rejected completely. Sophia stands. Her legs feel disconnected from her body. Why would you do this? You don't know me. I'm just a staff. Because you're a person, Vincent says simply. And your safety matters more to me than my brother's future. That's the choice I made. Marcus escorts her back to her room in silence. She walks through hallways that feel different now, like the entire building has shifted dimensions. She packs her duffel bag completely that night, not to leave, but because she's already gone. She's already escaped. The body is just catching up to what her mind already knows. By morning, Nicholas will be gone from the penthouse. By afternoon, the news will start spreading through the household staff. By evening, everyone will understand that he's been removed completely. But Sophia already knows. She can feel it in the air. The machinery of power has been activated. The machinery has decided. And what the Castellano machinery decides is simply what happens next. The notification arrives at 6:17 a.m. on Monday. Sophia's phone buzzes on her nightstand and she ignores it until the buzzing stops. Then curiosity pulls her toward the device. She unlocks it. The banking app opens. The number appears on her screen and she reads it 3 times to make sure she's not hallucinating. $50,000. She doesn't sleep again. She doesn't move from her bed. She just watches the number on her phone, terrified that if she closes the app, the money will evaporate like it was never real. Her heart hammers against her ribs. Her palms sweat. Her mind keeps cycling through the same thought. This is real, this is happening, this is her life now. By 8 a.m., she's checked her account 20 times. The transfer is still there. The number hasn't changed. She gets out of bed. Her legs shake as she walks to the small desk in her room. She pulls out her laptop. She searches for nursing programs. She finds her old application from the college. She starts typing an email to the admissions department. I'd like to reactivate my enrollment for the spring semester. I have the funds to complete my full 2-year program. She hits send before she can second-guess herself. Her hands are shaking so badly the keyboard barely registers her keystrokes, but the email goes through. By 11 a.m., the college responds. They're reviewing her file. By 2 p.m., they confirm. She's back in. She's officially enrolled starting January. She makes the second call at 3 p.m. Foster care agency. I want to bring my brother home. What do I need to do? I have stable employment and savings now. I want to start the guardianship process. The voice on the phone sounds surprised but accommodating. They explain the paperwork. They discuss home visits. They tell her that with her financial situation and employment history, she's a viable candidate. Marco can come home. Not immediately, but soon. Soon enough to matter. The third call she makes at 6 p.m., to her mother. She doesn't explain the details. She just says the words, "Mama, I'm bringing Marco home. I'm finishing school. I'm leaving the penthouse." Her mother starts crying on the other end of the line. Not sad crying. The kind of crying that comes from a parent who spent years accepting that her daughter was trapped in a cage, and suddenly the cage door is open. During her final weeks at the penthouse, Sophia works efficiently. She cleans rooms. She prepares meals. She moves through the space like someone who's already departed. Nicholas is gone completely from the building. She hasn't seen him once since Vincent's office. It's like he's been erased. Like the entire structure of his existence here has been surgically removed. On her last day, Marcus leaves an envelope on her bed. Inside is a handwritten note. Your brother is going to be okay. Your mother is going to be okay. You're going to be okay. That's what this was for. Show Marco that escape is possible. That's the only payment I'm asking for. She holds the note. She reads it 3 times. She understands that this is acknowledgement. This is a powerful man choosing to witness her suffering and respond to it. This is power being used in a way that doesn't require gratitude or explanation. This is simply, I saw you, I acted, now go build your life. She folds the note carefully and puts it in her pocket. 3 months later, Sophia sits in her apartment in Queens with nursing textbooks spread across the table. Marco is in his room studying. The sounds of a household, real household sounds, not penthouse sounds, fill the space. A door closing. Water running. Someone else's footsteps. She's gotten used to not being alone. She's gotten used to responsibility feeling like something that matters because it's her responsibility. She's maintaining a 3.8 GPA in her courses. She's working part-time at a coffee shop to keep income flowing even though technically she doesn't need it. She's attending Marco's school conferences. She's helping him process his anxiety through conversation and patience. She's rebuilding her life in real time and every single day feels like evidence that escape is possible. But she thinks about Vincent Castellano constantly. She thinks about what he did and what it means that he did it. He's a criminal. She understands this completely. The money he gave her came from activities that are illegal. That harms people. that exists outside any system of law or justice that society has constructed. He's not a good man. He's never claimed to be a good man. So the question that keeps her awake at night becomes impossible to ignore. Does one choice to do good transform a man who does bad things? Does using criminal power to achieve justice make you just? Does accepting money from crime make you complicit in that crime? She doesn't have answers. She just has the fact of her life now, which is substantially better than it was 3 months ago. She has her brother in her home. She has her nursing degree in progress. She has a future that looks like actual possibility instead of desperation. She has all of this because a man with power decided to use it differently than expected. A phone call comes on a Tuesday afternoon. Unknown number. She answers carefully. Hello. Ms. Mendez, this is Marcus from the Castellano household. His voice is professional. Carefully neutral. Mr. Castellano wanted me to inform you that Nicholas has attempted to contact you multiple times. He's been told that any contact is unacceptable. He's been told that if he approaches you, consequences will follow. Okay, Sophia says. She wasn't aware Nicholas had been trying to reach her. The thought makes her skin crawl. There's additional information, Marcus continues. During Mr. Castellano's investigation, evidence emerged. Evidence suggesting Nicholas was connected to something larger. An operation. Multiple people in positions of power targeting vulnerable women. Mr. Castellano has been investigating this. He wanted you to know that your information might be valuable to that investigation. You have the option to participate. It's completely voluntary. You owe him nothing. Sophia feels something heavy settle inside her chest. She's escaped Nicholas. She's moved past that trauma. She's been building a new life. And now she's being asked whether she wants to help uncover something bigger. Something that reaches beyond one man into an entire system that enables predators to operate freely. What would that involve, she asks. Conversations with investigators. Possibly legal proceedings. Nothing that puts you at risk. Mr. Castellano's primary concern is your safety. She looks at her apartment. She looks at her textbooks. She looks at her future becoming concrete through effort and education. She thinks about other women still trapped in situations like she was. She thinks about what justice means when it comes from complicated places. I'll do it, she says. Tell him I'll help. What she understands at that moment is that justice doesn't always come from clean sources. Justice doesn't arrive through righteous channels wearing white hats. Sometimes justice requires accepting help from people who are themselves corrupt. Sometimes justice requires moral compromise. Sometimes in a broken system, you take your wins wherever they appear, even if they appear from the hands of men operating outside the law. Sophia stands in the hallway of her community college 6 months later, holding her midterm exam results. She's passed everything. Every single class. 3.8 GPA maintained across all courses. She's worked, cared for Marco, navigated the complexity of finishing an interrupted degree while building her life from the ground up. She's also given 3 legal depositions regarding an investigation into Nicholas Castellano and the network of predatory behavior that extends far beyond him. The investigation revealed the true scope. Nicholas wasn't acting alone. His behavior was part of a larger apparatus. A network of men in positions of power who systematically targeted women who were economically vulnerable. 7 men have been arrested. 30 more investigations are ongoing. Sophia's testimony was part of the foundation that made those arrests possible. She doesn't press charges against Nicholas herself. The emotional toll feels too severe. But she provides her account. She describes the wine cellar. She helps build a case that creates consequences Nicholas can't escape through lawyers or family connections. Vincent Castellano never appears officially in any of this. His cooperation happens quietly through attorneys. His information arrives without his name attached. He's solved the problem while maintaining perfect deniability. It's exactly what someone like him would do, expose predatory behavior while protecting his empire. Sophia calls Vincent for the first time since that night in his office. She has his number. Marcus gave it to her months ago. He wants you to have a way to reach him if you need anything, Marcus had said. She dials it now. Vincent answers on the second ring. Ms. Mendez. I wasn't expecting to hear from you. I finished my midterms, she says. I'm graduating next year. I'm going to be a nurse. I know, Vincent says. Marcus has been keeping me updated on your progress. Of course he has. Of course Vincent is monitoring exactly how her life is proceeding. It should feel invasive. It should feel like a violation. Instead it feels like something else. It feels like being witnessed by someone with power who's choosing to acknowledge that witnessing matters. Why did you really do it? She asks. Destroying Nicholas. The money. The investigation. Why? Vincent is silent for a long moment. Because at some point you have to choose what kind of man you're going to be, he finally says. I've spent my entire life choosing to be someone who operates outside the law. Someone who uses power for personal benefit. But seeing what happened to you forced me to understand something I'd been avoiding. Having power and choosing not to use it to protect people is its own choice. I chose differently this time. Are you going to change? Sophia asks. Are you going to stop being what you are? No, Vincent says. His honesty is brutal. I'm still going to run my organization. I'm still going to operate outside the law. I'm still going to make decisions that harm people for profit. But I'm going to do it knowing that I could choose differently. I'm going to do it understanding that I'm making a choice. That knowledge makes me accountable in ways I wasn't before. It's not redemption. It's not transformation. It's just an acknowledgement. It's just a powerful man accepting that he could be better and choosing to acknowledge that while continuing not to be better in most ways. It's complicated. It's morally compromised. It's also the most honest conversation about power that Sophia has ever had. Thank you, she says. For noticing. For acting. Thank you, Vincent says in return, for surviving it. For using what I gave you to build something real. The call ends. Sophia stands in the hallway of her community college, holding her phone, understanding that her life is now permanently connected to a man who operates outside every rule that society has constructed. A man whose moral code is complicated. A man who caused tremendous harm to his own brother in pursuit of justice for her suffering. She thinks about Nicholas, now a non-person in the world. She thinks about the other women who came forward. She thinks about how justice doesn't always come from righteous places. How sometimes it comes from power. How sometimes the only way to survive a corrupt system is to have someone inside that system choose to act differently. She finishes her coffee. She gathers her textbooks. She walks toward the exit of the college building, ready to go home to Marco, ready to continue building her life, ready to become the person she's always been capable of becoming. She's escaped the penthouse. She's escaped the trap. She's escaped into a future that looks like actual possibility. But she's also changed. She now understands that the world doesn't work the way she was taught it works. That justice sometimes comes from criminals. That protection sometimes comes from the hands of men operating outside the law. That survival sometimes requires accepting moral compromise as the price of freedom. She steps out into the afternoon light. The city moves around her. People rush past. Cars honk. The world continues exactly as it always has. But Sophia Mendez is different now. She's been seen by power. She's been protected by corruption. She's been saved by a man who wasn't supposed to save her. And now she's going to spend the rest of her life understanding what that means. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next story that will inspire you and show you that transformation is possible even in a world built on power and compromise. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think about this story. Tell me how it made you feel. Did you believe Vincent's transformation? Do you think Sophia did the right thing accepting his help? Share this story with someone who needs to understand that being seen matters. Being protected matters. Even when that protection comes from complicated places. I'm curious, what do you think happened to Nicholas after this? Did he truly disappear or is he waiting somewhere planning his return? Let me know in the comments. And if you have your own story about justice being served in unexpected ways, I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments below. Let's build a community where we inspire each other. Where we recognize that power can be used for protection. Where we understand that survival isn't weakness, it's the beginning of strength. Subscribe now. Hit that notification bell. And I'll see you in the next story that will keep you wondering about justice, power, and what it really means to be human in a world that doesn't always reward humanity. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring about Sophia's journey.